Hello and welcome to the Dadless Dad. I'm Matt, and obviously I grew up without my dad. In this video today, we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is be a best friend. Don't try to find one. This took me a long time to get, and actually was something I really struggled with. See, I'm an only child, so I didn't have any siblings, and as an only child, there's a lot of times where I kind of felt like an outcast, because I'd go somewhere and there'd be brothers who might be together, and they always kind of had each other's back, and I always kind of felt like I was the third wheel, or I was left out. And then I'd get to be friends with someone, and then it always felt like someone would come along and be a better friend or be closer to that person. And maybe it was my nature or desire to have a best friend, someone who saw me as like a brother, that made this be something that was big for me. But the reality is I would look for best friends, and rarely would I find anyone, if ever, who was as committed to me as I was committed to them, because I was always looking for that best friend. However, when I started becoming a best friend, my world changed. And this has been so impactful in my life. It's funny, today I have so many people who think of me as a good friend that if I picked up the phone and said, hey, can you help me with this? There'd be so many people that I could go ahead and get to help me in difficult situations, or just even in celebration and in good moments, because there's people that I have poured into that now see me as valuable. When I think about being a best friend, this first lesson has been so impactful to me. So significant, don't seek it. It's funny, I used to think that people who were significant because they just had a charisma about them. They could enter a room and be commanding. And there is some of that happens as time goes on. But I heard it years and years ago, and it's made a lot of sense to me since then. And that is this: charisma can be learned. The reality is, the more interaction I've had with more people, the easier it has been for me to pick up the social cues and the basic skills on how to relate to people. When I've experienced having conversation with numerous different types of people, I have a better Rolodex or a better index of what might relate to them, so it's easier for me to relate to more people. But what in the early days really helped me was treating people with a measure of significance before they ever earned it. And in fact, often when they had proven themselves as unworthy of it. David had his mighty men. I truly believe that David's mighty men, it wasn't that they were the mightiest men ever on their own. I think David saw these men as people who had value in a world that didn't see any value. And as such, those men fought with so much vigor, with so much oomph, because they wanted to show the person who showed them they had value that they did in fact have value, that it left a mark on history. And that's one of those things where I try to treat everybody as though they can be somebody who's super significant. In fact, years ago, I heard it said, everyone is your superior in some way. It's your job to figure out how. That's a tough thing to understand, but when you do, there's so much value when you treat people from that perspective. So significant, don't seek it. The next thing I think that when it comes to being a best friend that often is overlooked, I think sometimes we think that if we're going to be best friends with someone, that means we have to be calling them every day. We have to be like camping with them. We're out their house every weekend. We're tailgating together. We're doing everything together. And the reality, I have 5 kids. I've got a business. I'm active in my church. I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing so many different things. And that's before you get into the fact that I live on 6.5 acres and I go ahead and plant stuff and do other fun things.
Okay, farmer boy.
My life is busy is what I'm saying. I don't have time to be investing in multiple people in that manner. But what I think is we often are convinced to think that we have to commit our life in a deep way to every single person versus actually just being truly intentional about a few connections every so often.
I can do that.
You'd be surprised at checking in, grabbing coffee, having real conversations with people, how deep that relationship gets early out of the gates. Because I said this in my last video, but the reality is people are craving people who are authentic. We're so sick of the fake. We're so sick of people acting one way and being another. I often say I would rather be loved or hated for who I am than be loved for who I'm not, that I have to pretend to be. I don't want to put on a show. I just want to be who I am authentically. And some people are going to like it and some people aren't. And so what? I can't be a friend to the whole world. I can love people, but I don't need everyone to approve of who I am. And if I do, then I'm probably not a very healthy who. So this has been super impactful because I am telling you, more often than not, a couple sincere check-ins and you'll be surprised at how many people call you not just a friend, but a good friend. This goes right into the next thing. Take the uncomfortable calls. The reality is we have to take the uncomfortable calls if we're going to be a good friend. And it's challenging, but I will tell you it is so worth it. I've learned some of the best lessons. In fact, one of the best lessons I have ever learned came when I got a text message at 11:47 p.m. Super long day. I was exhausted and it said, "Hey, are you up? ... And it was a friend of mine who had lost their mother about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks from before this. And I went, nobody will know if I just push it to the side and don't respond. But I will know. And I will either have to pretend there was something that happened, or I'll have to tell him, yeah, I was up. I just chose not to answer. And I want to be authentic. And before I'm ever authentic with you, I want to be authentic with me. I want to be able to look myself in the eyes in the mirror and say, no, I know what really happened. Be a man of integrity. And so I'm not going to lie. I shoved it up for a second. Breathe. Took about 5 minutes to breathe. Breathe. Because in my house, it was dead of winter. It was about 30 degrees outside. And in my house, we have 6 other people who were sleeping at that time. And our house is not that big. I was going to have to go outside to have the conversation. And I settled myself and I said, okay, yes, I'm up. Give me 5. And that's what I said. Took those 5 minutes, got myself ready, went out, had a conversation, and there was things that I learned in that conversation. This is a whole nother video to have, but one of the things I find to be super important is when you help people with their problems, unknowingly you're getting to solutions to problems that you personally aren't having to face. So you don't have to face the problems to try and find the answer. There's a lot of value in that, and that's a whole nother subject matter. But there was things that came out of that directly worked into my life the upcoming weeks.
Like what?
You got to take the uncomfortable calls. The next one, call them out and call them up. Again, people are sick and tired of people who pander. I can't tell you how many times I've had people on the other end of the phone call say, I said, hey, listen, I'll tell you what I think. You're probably not going to like it, but I'll tell you. The terminology, I picked it up from a man named Dan Muller. And I always say, I'm not a wound licker. I am not here to soothe your wound and to make it feel better. But if you want what I actually think, I will tell you, but it's probably going to be not what you want to hear, because right now you feel vindicated, you feel validated, and you feel like you have a reason to go ahead and feel what you feel. But the truth is, you need to remember who you are. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you, yep, this is all true, but it doesn't give you excuse to stop being the man that you are or the person you are. This does not validate you changing your identity. If it does, this is greater than you, and I refuse to believe that. Deception. You have to call them out and you have to call them up. And if you do, people who have that kind of relationship truly value, and the most valuable relationships to me are not the most comfortable. The most valuable relationships are the most challenging. They're the ones where people get in my face. They're the ones who people tell me what I don't want to hear. But I am who I want to be today because people told me what I didn't want to hear yesterday. And if you're willing to go ahead and allow people to speak into your life like that, you'll be better tomorrow for what you're willing to allow them to say today and heed and listen to. But the inverse is true. They will be better because you're willing to say what others are not and remind them of who they are so they can step into who they were meant to be. The last thing I'll say about friends, and this is probably going to be one I'll have an ongoing conversation on, because best friends is so vital, it's so critical, and there's so many ways to see it. But you tell their story best. If you're truly a good friend, you lend your credibility when you go ahead and tell people about who this person is. And people who know that when they hang around you are going to be spoken of in a high regard want to hang around you often because you're elevating them. And if you elevate them, I'm a firm believer, a rising tide raises all ships. You cannot elevate the whole room and have you be below it. And it ties right back into that beginning of significance. When you do all this, and you do it well, over time, people will begin to see you with a greater and greater and greater level of significance. And you will truly have a harvest of significance you're receiving back. And they'll introduce you to their friends that way. You'll come with built-in word of mouth referral, even just in the personal life. It's been amazing, humbling, but amazing. And so this is all why I say be a best friend. Don't seek one. Friends will come. Moments will be great. But if I wanted to go ahead and have a great harvest, I wouldn't plant one seed. I would sow a whole lot of seeds of significance so that as things come up where the relationships grow the strongest naturally, then there is the fruit of friendship. And so that's what's worked really well for me. I'd love to hear what's worked well for you and how you've created great relationships and how this video has impacted you. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and share. And I just want to thank you for sticking around. God bless and have a great day. Bye.